Everyone knows how much it sucks when your teammates are dying around the map and you're just sitting there helplessly thinking to yourself that the game is over. Well, I'm here to potentially change your mentality around that and maybe get you to start thinking that it's actually the opposite. In fact, you should be happier when your teammates are randomly dying, and that it might enable you to more consistently carry in some cases. Now, this guide is going to mostly focus on ADCs for a couple of reasons. One, they are the ones that suffer the most from their teammates playing poorly. It's the most team-dependent role, so it goes without saying that when their team is running it down, that they're not going to be having a good time. 2, it benefits the AD role more than any other role. This tip is applicable to most players, but due to the farm-oriented nature of marksmen, it just happens to benefit them much more. As a quick note, you should know that this guide comes from our website, SkillCapped. There's a special link in the description, and I'll talk more about it at the end. So hopefully by the end of this guide, you'll have changed your mentality around your INTING teammates. You're still going to have to 1v9 carry, but you might start to realize that your games are never as hard as you might initially think. Let's get into it. So a lot of this stems from the fact that high elo and low elo are completely different. To be honest, I don't even consider them to be the same game. They may look similar and share the same fundamentals, but my approach to them is not the same whatsoever. So the reason for this is that in high elo, you're generally playing with good players against good players, and in low elo, you're generally playing with bad players against bad players. No offense. Now they do share some similarities here and there, such as intentional griefers. Everyone has to deal with these Smite Teleport Blitzcrank trolling their jungler at some point. But in low elo, you have to deal with something nearly just as bad almost all of the time, which is your teammates unintentionally griefing you. And that's the main problem. Most low elo players don't realize just how much they're both hurting my and your own ability to carry games. Let me give you an example. During this match, I was playing Ezreal and I was hard winning bottom. The tower was getting low, and so Graves decided to come over and help. He places the Herald, and then we kill Samira together to finish taking the tower. The kill was fine, but the Herald placement was definitely a bad play, and especially horrible for me in particular. There's a billion reasons why it's not good, but the simple answer is that I was already going to get this tower by myself anyways. Graves being here, sharing the local tower gold, and then taxing the next wave because he thinks he's helped me, slows down my gold income by quite a lot when he could have just placed the Rift Herald in mid. The point here is that you have to deal with your teammates' bad macro and often unintentional hurting of your income, and so we've reached the main problem. To win League of Legends, you need your teammates because you literally can't 1v5, but at the same time, they're making the game harder for you, intentionally or not. Which is where this idea that your teammates' deaths are good for you comes from. Basically, you need your teammates off the map for brief periods of time that you can use to get yourself ahead, while also having them come back later so that you can use them to win the game. That may sound a bit confusing, so here, let me show you an example of what it would look like. During this silver game, I'm clearing my jungle trying to get as much farm as possible. As I get to Krugs, Mundo happens to be around the area as well as he's heading to the top wave. That really sucks for me, as that was a decently sized wave up there that I was hoping to get, plus the one coming after it as well, which would give me a big spike in gold. But the Mundo was already feeding the game, and taking that wave might have pushed him over the edge to completely AFK, so all I can do is go back middle. Unfortunately, as I get there, my Xerath decides to hit the wave to get meaningless damage on the Echo, which denies me enough gold to buy BF Sword. Now imagine a world where Mundo disconnected for 10 seconds as I got to this area. That would just mean extra farm for me, right, since he wouldn't be there to contest it. Likewise, imagine my Xerath not existing as I go back middle. I wouldn't have to share the single wave of golden experience with him, and I could then base in a timely manner for my BF sword without having to wait for the passive income to get me there. I think you can see where I'm starting to go with this. When your teammates are dead, it's almost like they've had a mini disconnect from the game. They're no longer on the map, which means contested sources of farm are now going to be completely yours. Let's look at some situations where my teammates dying actually helped me quite a bit. Let's look back at that Ezreal game right after we took the tower. Here's another reason why it's clear that the Rift Herald play was bad for me. Look at Graves and my wave and bottom. I can't go back there, so I'm left with very few choices. I want to go middle, but Katarina is spawning, and as she leaves the base, it seems that she's right on my tail. If I commit to mid, we're gonna end up sharing farm, which is why I look to top lane. And what do you know, I'm completely blessed by the fact that my Aatrox decided to die. That is absolutely perfect because now I actually have a source of farm I can path towards, and I'm not going to fall behind due to the incompetence of my jungler. Now, an immediate reaction that many players will have here is that, okay, you're able to farm more when your teammates die, cool, but the enemy is still fed, and I'm a current year ADC. I may be farming more, but I'm still going to get owned by their fed members. That just isn't true, and you just need to remember what I said. Everyone you're up against is bad. You need to have that mentality. This concept does not apply at all in high elo, but in low elo it definitely does. Your opponents may be getting some kills, but I guarantee they'll almost never snowball properly off of it. The point of a kill isn't just the 300 gold, it's what you can get off of it as well. Low elo players, even when they get kills, they don't accelerate how much farm they're getting. They continue to build the wrong items, they play their champions wrong, etc, etc. It's not nearly as bad as it should be when they're getting fed. That's the point of so many low elo guides that SkillCapped makes. The narrative is always, oh no, the enemy assassins are fed. Whatever will our expert... Oh, it didn't matter at all because the assassin players are bad. All you have to do to counteract these slightly fed enemies you'll be up against when your teammates are dying is to pick up the farm that they're leaving behind. That's it. The reason is simple. The way item scaling works in League is that they scale off of each other. The more attack damage you have, then obviously the more value your attack speed provides. Which means that all you have to do is capitalize on your team's deaths to accelerate your farm so that you get more items than everyone else in the game. And that's going to be the main point here. You have to make good use of your teammates' deaths, otherwise, yeah, they're just running it down. This isn't going to be something that's flashy when you apply it though. Let's take a look at some examples of where I'm actually thinking about it. So during this game, I'm doing fairly mediocre due to some unfortunate early circumstances. I don't have much control over the game yet, and I noticed the enemy team converging to top lane on the minimap. It's pretty hard to rotate there through the jungle, so I just have a whatever happens happens attitude about it, and I push mid for some farm instead. Well, as a result of that top lane push, 3 of my teammates did end up dying, and I was personally quite happy about it. After basing and walking there, I'm about to get a free wave that would have gone to my teammates had they not died for no reason. At this point, I was okay with the idea that I'd get this wave and then path back to middle for the one pushing back to me now. But of course the enemy Teemo happened to do that, so Shaco and I, mostly Shaco, end up cleaning up the rest of the enemy team. Most importantly, thanks to my team being dead, I don't have to share the wave spoils either. I get this wave and then another one afterwards all to myself. That may not seem like a lot, or that I gained a massive advantage because they're dead, but that's because we haven't seen the alternative yet. Let me show you what it usually looks like when your teammates don't die in the action. Back to the Ezreal game from before, I'm finally hitting a massive 2-item spike. Normally I wouldn't path mid here while my Katarina is there, but the enemy team is sieging and my Katarina is pretty weak as she's died a lot already. I had fairly high suspicions that she's going to die here, and I even encourage her to go in with some pings. As she blindly listens to my troll pings, she dies, and I'm quite happy about it. That just means the incoming wave after this one is all going to be mine. Veigar also sets up a nice Samira kill for me, and I begin pushing after that. I do want to pause here. I want to test your skill real quick. I'm about to do something a bit wrong. What do you think the correct play here is based on what you're saying? The correct play is to instantly go top. Unfortunately, my teammates didn't die this time around, so I have to explain why their gameplay is actively hurting both me and them. You see, Aatrox is conceding a ton of waves bottom and the tower to Vayne for, well, no reason. Graves also has 4 jungle camps available to farm, which would give him around 400 gold, but both of them seem to think that none of that is as important as sharing around 80 local gold from the tower after it's split 4 ways. 80 gold. When you begin to see the game this way, you'll immediately become as bitter as I am about these people. I'm not gonna lie, my teammates grouping and going out of their way to share gold with me is fairly annoying to have to deal with in low elo, which is why I very often rather them just be dead. In the video game, of course. Let's take a look at another example and how much easier my decision making is when my teammates die. Here, as I'm walking to middle, we can see that both my Nocturne and Camille have gone down. Generally, as I said, players tilt about this because, oh man, the enemy talent is so fed now. But look at all of my options. I could go top. I could also do Wolves, Gromp, Scuttle into bot farm, knowing that no one is going to try and share that with me. I actually messed it up. I only did Scuttle into bot, which is missing a bit of farm, mostly because I was autopiloting. But isn't that feeling super nice? I just have so many good options to keep my farm numbers high that I can actually mess up how to optimally farm. That's every ADC's dream. It's gotten to the point where I'm actually pretty bitter about this concept when I play in low elo lately. I hate when my teammates are winning and alive because it forces me into really awkward side laning situations to make sure I don't fall behind in farm. Obviously, as an ADC, you kind of have to do that, but it can be dangerous, especially when you go for the greedy recall as I do here. Not a big deal though, I just kite things out for a while, which baits Nautilus to really overextend to try to kill me. Thanks to my beautifully placed ultimate, not misplaced at all, both he and Tristana suffer a very deserved death. But look, sadly my illusion is alive and well, and thus I'm forced into sharing my waves after the fact. I really wish all of my teammates would just go and die. In the game, of course. I wanted to make this guide because I know having the losing team is something you guys complain about most, but from my experience, it can actually make the game easier. Of course, you have to be better than the elo you're playing in to truly take advantage of this, which is where our website SkillCapped comes in. It's easily the best place to improve at League of Legends, with by far the most premium guides out there alongside live coaching. We also offer an improvement guarantee when actively using our website, which nobody else would dare to do. We do this because our service does work, and if it doesn't work for you, then you don't have to pay. Check out the link in the description for a cheaper membership. Thanks for watching.